The Topiary Cat, Chapter 7, Revelation. Next morning, Richard awoke with a start. "That's it," he cried. He must tell Baba. The star pattern now seemed obvious to him, and he was kicking himself he hadn't recognised it earlier. "Where's Tolly? Mummy, have you seen Tolly?" No, she hadn't, and she told him that the cat had attempted to wake him earlier, but the boy had been too heavily asleep to stir. Tolly had gone out, leaving some of his breakfast, which he usually wolfed down to the last scrap. Richard told Katie he was going to look for the cat. Neither were particularly concerned. Tolly was an independent cat, and not a homebody like many of his breed. Often he'd be gone all day, only returning for dinner and then disappearing again. The lad strode off purposefully in the direction of Baba's lodge. When he arrived at the front door, there was Tolly staring up at the door knocker, as if puzzling out how he could get it to make a sound. It seemed he had tried scratching at the door. Richard knocked loudly, waiting for the familiar noise to come from within. It was still quite early, and it being a Sunday morning, surely Baba was home. But no sound came. Was the old man ill? Richard looked through all the windows, and all the curtains were drawn back, so Grandpa had already been up that day. That was reassuring. "He's probably gone to tend his precious topiary," thought Richard. So the two chums headed off to Neferton Hall again, and sure enough, there was Baba, talking to a couple of his gardeners. On a Sunday? But wait, what's this? Some of the statues had been placed together, facing one another in the centre of the manicured lawns in the front of the house. Baba, are you okay? And why have you moved the statues? And what's going on? I came to tell you, I think I know what the stars look like, and—" "Whoa there, young Richard, settle down. I'm as confused as you are. Peter, go on telling us what you saw last night." "Well, as I was saying, I couldn't sleep, and we're looking out my window in the early hours when I thought I saw a movement here. I were looking across the lawn, and I swear I saw the statues moving in the moonlight. As the marble sculptures are valuable, I thought it were robbers. But I couldn't see any people, and the statues appeared to be moving by themselves. I couldn't believe my eyes. I rubbed them and looked again, and everything seemed normal. So I went back to bed, but I thought no more of it, convinced it must have been a dream. When I looked out this morning, the statues were here, so I rang you, boss, and we came over to investigate." Richard looked at the statues. They were arranged in a tight group, all facing one another, as if deep in conversation. He could see no movement, and, looking down, the grass appeared undisturbed. The gardeners continued talking animatedly amongst themselves, and Baba was so engrossed in their conversation that the boy decided his news would have to wait, especially as Colonel Greenwood was going to be informed. The head gardener's job was much more important than Richard's revelation at this moment, so he and the cat wandered over to where the statue should have been. He expected to see tracks, or at least some disturbance to the ground. But no, where each figure had stood, the bases were clean and unmarked, and the soil around them still neatly raked. He made a mental note of the names of the figures carved on the plinths. There were 6 gods in all: Jupiter, Gaia, Demeter, Neptune, Venus, and Helios. He wasn't sure what they all represented, apart from recognizing some planets amongst them. He would talk to Grandpa later, but the fact that celestial bodies were involved was quite interesting in light of his recent theory. Don't miss the next chapter of The Topiary Cat, read by Richard Saunders.